Hey, mysterious fellas. Ready for today's story? Get cozy and be ready for the odd adventure ahead. See you on the other side. The Restless Clues. Ella had always been a creature of habit. Every evening, she would return to her small, cozy apartment after work, unlock the door, and step into the quiet comfort of her routine. The dim lighting, the faint hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the old clock, everything in its place, soothing and predictable. But lately, something felt off. It started subtly. She'd come home to find her apartment ever so slightly rearranged. A chair moved a fraction of an inch. The books on the shelf were no longer in the same order. Little things that didn't make sense. At first, she thought she was just distracted, maybe tired from work. But soon the changes became more noticeable. The kitchen faucet would be running, just a drip, drip, drip that she couldn't explain. Once, a picture frame on the wall was tilted at an odd angle, even though she was sure she had hung it straight. Ella was meticulous. She prided herself on her attention to detail. No one else had a key to her apartment. She wasn't the type to entertain guests. So who or what was moving things around? One night after a particularly long day at work, she came home to an unsettling sight. Her front door was slightly ajar. She was certain she'd locked it, but there it was, standing open, a sliver of darkness spilling into the hallway. Her pulse quickened. Ella stepped inside, scanning the apartment. Everything seemed in place. But then she saw it, a note resting on the kitchen counter. There were no fingerprints on it, no sign of anyone having touched it except for the person who wrote it. The handwriting was sloppy, like someone had written it in a hurry, and it simply read, "I see you." Chills prickled up her spine. Her mind raced. Who could have left this? Could someone be in her apartment now? But as she searched every room, she found no one. No hidden corners, no strange figures lurking. Only the silence of her apartment, oppressive and cold. Ella was on edge for the rest of the evening, but the weirdest part was the feeling that someone was watching her. She couldn't shake the sensation. When she went to bed, she kept the lights on, but even then it felt like something was in the shadows, just out of sight, waiting. Days passed, and the disturbances grew. One morning, she woke up to find that her reflection in the bathroom mirror wasn't quite right. She stared at herself, puzzled. Her eyes, just for a fraction of a second, moved differently, as if she wasn't controlling them. But when she blinked, everything returned to normal. Ella's paranoia escalated. She began leaving work early, afraid to be alone in her apartment. But it didn't matter. The presence, that unseen guest, was there whether she was home or not. She started finding things in her apartment that shouldn't be there. Small, almost insignificant items. A button on the floor. A piece of thread on the couch. A single hair, not her own, in the sink. No one ever entered her apartment, so where were these things coming from? One night, exhausted and desperate, she decided to confront it, whatever it was. She stayed up late, sitting in the dark, watching the clock tick down the minutes, her nerves fraying with each passing second. The silence felt like it was closing in on her. Suddenly, she heard a soft sound, a rustling, a faint movement. Her breath caught in her throat as she slowly turned her head toward the source of the noise. It wasn't coming from the kitchen or the hallway. It was coming from inside her own reflection. The figure in the mirror, her own face, wasn't just mirroring her. It was smirking. The eyes didn't blink, didn't move. They just watched her. Frozen, Ella tried to step away from the mirror, but her reflection didn't follow. It stayed there, staring, grinning. Then it did something that made her blood run cold. It winked. She bolted, racing out of the room, but no matter where she went in her apartment, the feeling of being watched, hunted, followed her. Every mirror, every reflective surface. There was her reflection, always a beat behind, always smiling just a little too wide. Ella didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. And as the sun rose, she made the decision to leave. Forever. She packed what little she had, determined to never return. But when she reached the door, she froze. On the inside of the door, etched into the wood, was the same note she had found before. "I see you." And now, Ella wasn't sure if the message was from outside the door or from inside her own mind. The end. What do you think happened? Who was it? Let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay mysterious. Goodbye.